Join me for a drive in the 2019 QX60. I'll tell you a little bit about the various features, what I like, what are some of the limitations of the car, and hopefully you'll get a good feeling as to whether this is really something suitable for you and your lifestyle. Let's go. So one of the things I love about the car are the cameras. The 360 cameras are now quite standard on many, but not everyone does them well. And in this case, they really did a nice job, the folks at Infinity. The cameras, both for the reverse as well as the various angles, are amazing. Really, no complaints whatsoever. The sensors, backup sensors, and the front sensors are wonderful. You can set the precision, you can set the sensitivity of them, and it's great. Works extremely well. Never had any issues with that. Always able to avoid tapping or coming too close to something. The other thing that's interesting, here's an example. I'm going by a large truck in the laneway, and the camera comes on, the sensors beep, and I'm able to check and see. They're set to medium sensitivity, which is how we seem to like it. An interesting thing about the sonar sensors, which is what Infinity calls them, is the fact that you can turn off the rear ones. So when we tow things, when we have a hitch on the back, for example, with some stuff, if we're going out with the kids camping or to the cottage, we are able to turn them off. Otherwise it'll constantly beep because there is something there. One of the things I love the most about the Infinity is the fact that all the buttons and the interface feels really well made. Now, I'm not talking about the electronics for a moment. I'll talk about that. That's actually one of the weaker points. It's okay, but it's not what we would expect in a 2023 or 24 car. They, funny enough, the year after this car was made, it's a 2019 QX60 Luxe model. The year after is when they started putting in CarPlay and a more advanced interface, and so it got a lot better. But what I'm talking about right now is just the way the car feels, the buttons and everything feel when you drive. And I'm extremely sensitive to that. There are some, my wife has has joked with me over the years about that, how I like to come and touch various, right, the car and feel the buttons and the leather and things. And because for me, it really is an experiential thing. For some people it's just you come in, turn it on and go, but not for someone like me. Gearhead, motorhead, petrol head, call me whatever you want. And so the buttons, the feel, the construction feels really nice. The steering wheel, the buttons themselves are solid, but not too solid. Do you remember the old GM cars where I used to have an old Chevy Equinox, 2007. It drove great, but the buttons were, and the finish was not outstanding. And for many years, Cadillac and GM and Cadillac had a problem where they were putting the same buttons, the same knobs in everything. You'd go to a Yukon, you'd find the same thing, and you'd go to an Escalade, and you'd still find the same radio on, off button, or the same cruise control button. Infinity does a lovely job in terms of the finish in that respect, and everything really feels very well crafted. The seats, very, very nice. This car happens to have the very special, I think it's called Java brown color, and they're lovely. When we got this car, I wanted black on the outside and the brown seats, and they only had gray on the outside with brown seats, and I took that because I spent a lot more time inside the car than looking at it from the outside. And the gray is fine. It's nothing exciting, but it's fine. It's a really nice color, but the brown is really nice. You can get a bit of a feel as to it. Very unique. The seats feel great. The leather is very comfortable. It's really nice leather. The seats are not too soft and they're not too hard. The old American cars, some folks may remember, you'd sit down and it was like an armchair, which is nice if that's the drive you want. They hold you well, and they're very, very nice and comfortable. Let me talk a little bit about the entertainment system. The craftsmanship is lovely, right? In terms of the buttons and all that, I touched upon that. The interface itself is old. It works great, but it's old. And so you connect your phone, connect your Bluetooth, play the music, stream whatever you want, but it does not have the integrated Apple Play or Android Auto. That is an upgradable feature from what I understand, but the truth is, it just, in my opinion, isn't worth it on this car. You put up your phone on a holder and it works just fine. So that's really the only drawback when it comes to that. A very nice feature that we have enjoyed is the heating and cooling in the front seats and the heated steering wheel and the rear heated seats. So we have 3 kids, and it's funny how the companies do this. They put in the back, in the rear seat, so there are 3 rows to this car, and I'll speak to that in a moment. In the rear seat, they put the 2 heaters on the outer seats, on the left and right, not in the center. So if all of us are in the car, someone gets might get the cold seat. But that aside, really nicely done, and very nice implementation of something so simple, which we appreciate here in Canada. In the front, the heating and cooling, same idea, lovely, especially at the steering wheel as well. The cooling, though, is really phenomenal in the summers. So really a lovely feature that exists on this model and the next one up, but doesn't exist on the base model. The heated steering wheel has come in handy many times in a cold Canadian winter, and I love it. The only thing I would suggest that they consider refining is having 2 levels. There are 3 levels for heating and cooling each, but there's only 1 level for the steering wheel. And at times it feels too hot, funny enough. So if it's freezing outside, that's fine, but if it's just kind of cold outside, I'd prefer to have it a little warm, but not so hot. Other small things, the cup holders, and folks joke about this sometimes, or it seems small, but it's not. We almost always have drinks with us, and we have to put them somewhere. As of 2019, for sure, but they may have changed it slightly before, but certainly this model has a refined setup for the cup holders. There's no longer that cover that used to be in the middle. In our previous one, we had a 2015 QX60 as well, and then we moved over to the 2019, so you can tell we really like it. And they had this cover, and you didn't really need it, so they did a wonderful job in terms of the design here. And interesting, the left and the right side door cup holders are padded, and just a nice touch. I've never felt that on any other car that I can recall at this point. And I'm the kind of guy that sits down in a car, even as a passenger, and touches it just to see what they've done. Small attention to detail, and what that does is it doesn't rattle, so that's really nice. And in general, the finish that Infiniti has done is just very nice with the leather and the vinyl, as opposed to just plastic. I am extremely sensitive to hard plastic, and so this is one of those cars where you sit down and you don't feel it. There are a few surfaces, but way fewer, far fewer than in many other cars, including luxury cars. Now let's talk about the actual driving experience. Right now it's on 18-inch rims because it's winter here in Canada where I'm filming this. And really it's been a wonderful car for all the winters that we've owned it. The previous version, the 2015 as well as the 2019, have all-wheel drive, full-time all-wheel drive. I think that's become more and more common for the vast majority of vehicles, certainly luxury vehicles. So here in Toronto, where I'm filming this, we tend to get a lot of snow. Not as much as in some other places in Canada, but we do get a lot of snow. And we also go into the country to visit family. We've been in some major snowstorms with this vehicle, as well as the previous one that we owned, the 2015 model. And this 2019 is amazing. The full-time all-wheel drive is great. And with the winter tires, we feel very, very safe. We let our kids now drive these vehicles. This vehicle, because we are confident in it. So really, the winter driving, amazing. The summer driving is even better. The wheels are a bit more comfortable, the larger ones, and they're designed for a smoother ride. So they're very, very comfortable, the ones that we chose. And that's in terms of the ride comfort. The vehicle itself is very quiet. You can hear now, I'm doing 60, or I'm allowed to, within the city. And there's really no engine noise, no external noise. I would say, is it perfect? No, but you also don't want it to be, because you do want to hear if there are emergency vehicles, or if someone is honking excessively, or if there's a problem, of course. So really nice when it comes to the insulation that Infiniti and the noise barriers that Infiniti has installed in this vehicle. The engine noise, very nice. It does have a little bit of that Infiniti growl, which they've come to be known for. It started, I believe, with the G35 many years ago, close to 20 years ago, and it still continues. It's less pronounced on this SUV. This is, I believe that on some of the smaller ones you get a bit more of that, but it also depends on the driving mode. So in the normal, I'm right now in the standard or normal driving mode. Actually, standard is what they call it. It says it right here on the dash. You get a little bit of the growl, but not much. Now the other driving modes. I mentioned winter before in the tires. There is a winter setting. There's actually a snow setting. And so when there is heavy snow, we leave it, we just put it on that. And it drives amazing. What it does is it automatically will start the car, I believe, in second gear. So second or above. And it feels as if there's no initial power. And what it's really doing is it's starting you off very slowly so that you don't spin the tires. And so certainly for new drivers, but for anyone, it's a wonderful mode. The other mode is the eco mode. And the truth is I haven't noticed much of a difference in terms of the eco setting. For a while we used that to see, and I haven't noticed much of a difference. The final mode, the most interesting one, but also to be used appropriately, is the sport mode. And there's a noticeable difference when it is in sport mode. The company says that the suspension and the transitions tighten a little bit. So the suspension tightens a bit in terms of the steering, and the throttle responses are different. I notice the throttle responses every moment that it's in sport mode. It really will utilize the gear a lot more aggressively, and it really is a wonderful experience. It's kind of useless in the city, but when we're out on the highway and there's an appropriately safe environment, it really is a lot of fun. Now the transmission, the QX60 have a CVT from this year, and the previous one as well. CVT sometimes gets a bad rep, and not being a mechanic, I won't speak to that, even though I can speak to the maintenance of it, and there has been no need to do any special maintenance beyond just the standard on all the vehicle. I will get to that. So that's wonderful. The CVT is amazing, and I don't know if it's just the implementation by Infiniti, but really it's lovely. You're never in the wrong gear, and in sport mode it's even more pronounced how well in tune it is with the driving conditions. It changes very, very nicely, very smooth. There's never any jerking. It's very, very smooth, and whether in standard mode or in sport mode, you can also use the manual shifting capability. Now, the QX60 doesn't come with paddle shifters. While it would be nice, it's not really the persona for this vehicle. It's not really necessary. But if you do want to experience a bit more of a sporty ride, or you do wish to be able to overtake someone on the highway, for example, the shifting, the downshifting or upshifting, downshifting is a lot more fun. Happens instantaneously even with the CVT. So it simulates, of course, a gear. It doesn't actually have gears in a CVT, but it simulates an endless array of gears based on the driving conditions and the speed. And it's great. I love the way that it shifts. Very, very seamless. You can hear it now as I'm driving and stopping and changing speed. Perhaps you can't hear it, but there's the growl. It really does perform very well. The maintenance on the car. So, an important factor. This one's 4 years old now, and we had it from purchase. I was going to say from birth. We've had it from the beginning, and we've done all the regular required maintenance on it at the dealership, and they were great. We had very few issues with the car. We did have something with the speedometer at one point where the speed was incorrect, and that was a bit of a quirk, and ultimately I think they had to replace the speedometer. Other than that, this car's been wonderful and problem free. We've changed brakes once during the course of ownership, and we're still riding on the original tires because we split summer and winter, so we get twice as much roughly in terms of the mileage on the tires. So the ownership has been really maintenance and hassle free. Oil changes, filters, the various core fluids for the transmission, transaxle, and those types of things. But other than that, it's been amazing. This is the car that even in the cold winters, you know it's going to start up, and so that's really been great. This is the first of these types of videos I've done, and I'm doing it on this vehicle because we're actually looking to sell it. So I figured before I sell it, I may as well do Brightman's review on it. Simon's review of the QX60, which we've had now. This is our second one, a 4-year lease. So I think I'm in a good position to be able to speak to it. What I like, what I don't like, and really how it's been. Maintenance and everything for across 2 leases now. And the reason we're selling it is the kids are moving out, and it's time for some smaller vehicles. That's all. But it's been a wonderful ownership. Now, I've styled this video after someone on YouTube called JJ, who I really admire. I love his videos. I think he does a bang-up job reviewing cars. Really, I tremendously enjoy his reviews there. As I said, this is our second QX60. First we had a 2015 QX60, and now a 2019. This is the Luxe model. It has everything in it, except the proactive sensors, and except for the rear headrest videos for the second row. The previous one that we had did have that, and while those features are helpful and the entertainment system was nice, it really wasn't worth the extra cost. So that's why we opted for this model. Plus, we really wanted these amazing brown Java seats. Now let's take a look inside the QX60. Remember, this is the 2019 QX60 with the Luxe package. And things that I spoke about before, very noticeable, right? The quality of the handles, really the nice finish, soft surfaces, and really nice stitching. I think Infiniti did a really remarkable job here, right? Take a look. This is in the Java brown leather. Very, very nice. I spoke earlier about the finishes and how I find the quality to be really, really high. And it really is quite a nice finish here. There are different types of interior wood packages. This is the one we've had on 2 cars now, so really this is the only one I'm familiar with, and we like it. So the front seats, and let's take a peek at both the second and third row. Typical second row, and one of the nice things, of course, the heated seats and some charging ports, separate control. By the way, this thing here is something we added. It would be nice to have that come standard with the car, but I understand why manufacturers don't do it. So for a few bucks on Amazon, we've found a place to put a purse. Very nice job with the sliding seats, creating a huge amount of room for the back and allowing to adjust really based on who's sitting in the second row. And because of the split, you can see 2 and 1 will move independently. Now let's take a look at the back row. Very easy to do, and on the newer cars there may be a button. I know on the new version of this and other similar vehicles there is, but on the 2019 there's a nice nifty lever. Very easy, one-handed operation, and opens up the third row. Now to demonstrate the size, I'm actually going to get in. Flip up the headrest and pull it back. Now this is the amount of room with the seat all the way back, and this is the amount of room I have when the seat is forward. Excuse my messy jeans. And you can see that there's still, for me, there's plenty of room. I'm 5'10", and lots of room. If you were 6 foot, you'd probably fit in here just fine. If you were 6'4", perhaps not. I think the point is with these third rows, unless you're getting a full-size SUV, with all the good and bad that comes with it, you really are looking at something like this to really maximize this space. Some nice things they added in, and remember this is now almost a 5-year-old car, 4.5-year-old car. Some charging ports. You can see my kids have left things in there. Really convenient. Now let's take a look at the boot, as JJ says, or the trunk. And the release. Now this is the trunk with the third row up, and very convenient. Auto up, push button down from the remote as well. And you can see the third row. To drop it, we do that. Pretty easy, tons of room. And in order to raise them, they did a nice job in this version. You can do it this way. You can also just lift it manually, of course. It's pretty fast. I've seen some far more expensive cars where it takes a lot longer. So, tons of room here. And Infiniti also added extra storage here next to the subwoofer. Can I say I fully appreciate the subwoofer from Bose? I can't. My ear is not that sophisticated, but I'm sure my kids love it. Here's a look at the back with all the winter stuff that we have in it, and with the seats up. So the seats are fully back for maximum room for the second row. And we still have a ton of luggage space here. We've got our emergency kit, our jack, shopping bags, cover for the snow, and 2 scrapers. Why 2? Well, because we're Canadian and we just want to be safe in case 2 people can get at it. How is the QX60 at night? In the next few minutes, I'm going to cover off my impressions and talk about a few extra safety features that are important day and night. Now, the QX60 drives very well at night. And what I mean by that is not really the pure performance of the car, and more the fact that it's easy to drive. The windows are large, you're sitting high up, and it's a very easy car to maneuver at night, despite the size. 3 safety features that are important to mention. First, blind spot warning. Small indicators left and right are installed on the inside of the car, which is actually quite unique to Infiniti. In most cars, I see that there's an indicator. In most newer cars, there's a blind spot indicator on the mirror itself, external to the car, so outside of the, just beyond the windows. Infiniti does a nice job, in my opinion, putting them on the inside because they're easier to see out of your peripheral vision. They're closer to you, so I think that's a smart move. They will illuminate, of course, when someone's in your blind spot. Now, normally they'll only illuminate when if you're driving and someone's in your blind spot, they will illuminate. But if you actually blink in order to change lanes, when someone is in your blind spot, it'll also provide an audible warning. So that's very helpful. The second feature that I'd like to mention is related to the backup camera. Infiniti does a great job in this model with the backup camera day or night. Or I should say day and night. The visibility is very good. The interesting and very helpful feature is a backup collision warning. And what it does is it utilizes the camera as well as the sensors to be able to detect that someone is approaching or standing right behind the vehicle when you're in reverse. And it'll provide a visual as well as an audible warning. So the screen will actually change colors into a darker one, and it'll provide an audible alert for you to pay attention. So that's in case someone, a child or someone else, has quickly run behind the car to fetch an item, or if a car is approaching and coming at you from the side when you're starting to back up. So very helpful. The third feature is a forward collision alert. And what it does is tell you if you're approaching either a moving or a static object in front of you, such as a vehicle, and it warns you to stop. Now obviously when you're just driving behind someone, there's no problem there. It doesn't tell you that you're too close. That's not what the feature does. But if the object is either stationary, as I mentioned, or if you're approaching at too high a speed and closing the distance, it'll sense that and provide a warning. The warning is audible, and it'll increase very rapidly in its intensity, in its volume, in order to really have you pay attention and hopefully slam on the brakes in time. Thank you again for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and enjoy the QX60. I know we have.